to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi everybody, welcome to New Life Live. We are continuing. Had somebody call and say, well, you got some really strong programs this week. And we're continuing that with Chris Williams. He's in. Hey Chris, how are you?
Hey, good to be here. How are you doing?
Well, I'm great. And Dr. Tom Okamoto is with us. He is a board-certified adult psychiatrist. Dr. Okamoto, we love having you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Steve. It's good to be here. It's great to be here.
He has been he was part of Minworth-Meyer Clinic West in the adult and adolescent unit, worked with John, Henry, Dave on that, and just does a great job. And one of the things he does, I mean, he's a real live Christian, goes to church, and over there at Friends Church, what are you guys doing in the area? You're really helping some folks there in Yorba Linda, aren't you?
We're trying to develop in the North County a lot of awareness, and we want to reduce stigma and support the folks with mental illness issues in terms of depression, anxiety. We just had a conference that's going to be a quarterly event of mental health in the church. The last one was on bipolar disorder, and we had Dr. Dan Suzuki, who's the Christian psychiatrist running as medical director at Los Encinas in Pasadena, speak. And then we had a board-certified child psychiatrist, Mike Trammell, who has an MDiv and is a practicing psychiatrist as well in the area. We're developing a lot of infrastructure with a lot of Christian psychiatrists across the nation to be more connected to the churches and start to have a voice. So that's exciting.
You know, when the first Christians that became counselors and wanted to talk about Christian counseling, I think they made a big mistake in that you have these pastors out there and they're doing their job and it's not easy. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes along and they're going to be Christian counselors. And they start using language that the pastor isn't really familiar with. So how can that be a good thing? And I think it really set up kind of a defensiveness among the clergy about a Christian counselor, rather than saying, hey, you know, let's sit down and talk, because a lot of stuff that Freud stood for, he was atheist, all that, well, you know, that's not good. But there's a lot more to what I do than anything Sigmund Freud ever thought about.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You guys are trying to work on that, huh?
Freud was kind of in the mix, but a lot of initial psychoanalysts and the first people doing psychiatry were actually Christians, or they were pastors' kids, or they were missionary kids. There's a long legacy of Christianity and kind of a connection of the Holy Spirit throughout the development of mental health. So, so if you look into it, it's not Freud, really.
Yeah. Freud is the most famous, but, you know, there was a whole movement in the beginning where a lot of the psychiatric care was done under the care of Christians. And one of the things that they did was that they treated people differently than they'd ever been treated before. They would bring a person in struggling with some kind of emotional problem or psychiatric problem, and they would dress them up, put them coat and tie or evening dress. They'd have high tea. They would treat them in a way that many of them had never lived before, because they wanted them to glimpse or have a new image of themselves. Right. I love that. It's too bad they didn't continue.
Yeah, no, treating people as humans was part of the church at that time.
What a radical thing.
Yeah.
Treat people as humans. All right. If you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. We'd love to talk with you. We'll be in the studio for 2 hours, so hopefully you can get through.
Most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Chris Williams. Dr. Okamoto is here. If you have a perfect marriage, take a nap for a second. I'm going to talk to everybody else. In Washington, D.C. this weekend, Misty, my wife, me, Mylan, Kay, the Yurkoviches, we're going to be there. And we're going to be talking about how we love. And I hope if you would like a better marriage, come. If you'd like your marriage to go from mediocre to really good, come. And if you are really in need of salvaging the thing, it would also be a great weekend for you. A lot of people, they're angry. They're upset. They think God doesn't love them. He's not working. They come to this and they go, oh, so that's how God works. He works with us. We work with others. We'd love to see you there. It's our marriage intimacy intensive. And it's all levels of intimacy. It's emotional, spiritual, and physical. And you will love this weekend. It was a dream of mine that we would do this for a long, long time. And I think it's some of the most powerful stuff that we do here. Nothing fixes everything. Guy goes to every man's battle. Well, he can begin the road to recovery, but there's a lot of repair and there's a lot of damaged intimacy skills that need to be rebuilt and restored, and that's part of what we do here. If you're interested, call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can still get in, and perhaps we would be able to literally get you on a path for a marriage that you never, ever dreamed possible. That number is 1-800-NEW-LIFE. The number that I'm about to go to here and talk to Mary is 1-800-229-3000. So let's go right now and talk to Mary, Dallas, Texas. Hello, Mary. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you.
Are you in a car wash or what? It's a weird, strange thing there. I don't know what it is.
I'm sorry. I think my phone is... I think I'm stuck on speaker. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can get there.
Yeah,
there we
good.
go. Is that better? I'm so sorry.
Okay, now that's really sounding better. Okay, what's going on?
Oh, good. Okay, I'm sorry. I have suffered from depression for a number of years, and for a long time I was just treated by either my OBGYN or our family doctor. Okay. And I finally decided that I was having a lot of problems, and I was seeing a therapist. He suggested I see a psychiatrist. And I did go to see one, and I found one, and he did some things such as he did blood tests on me, and he found that my vitamin D levels were extremely low, and he said that may be part of the issue. And also, he suggested, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called, but it's a magnetic kind of a thing, a therapy that you use. It's something they put on your head, and they use it every day for like 5 weeks. You go in for a treatment, and he suggested that as a possibly an alternative to taking medication. I was just curious to see what you thought about that.
Okay.
Yeah, Mary,
Dr. Okamoto, what do you think?
That's kind of a nice question on depression. Depression treatment is getting so complex these days. It's like you have to have a PhD to sort of know all the different ins and outs of it. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of good things coming. Transcranial magnetic treatment is really one of the now established alternative interventions that medicine can provide. It's not a pill, it's not medication, but it's actually a pulse of magnetic energy that goes to certain parts of the brain that can be very helpful when your depression hasn't been easily treated by the regular medicines. There's a lot of new alternatives coming around the corner, so that's one of them, and it's somewhat pretty much the standard alternative form. We're trying to get it more standardized and see what else can be helped by it. It's sometimes covered well by insurances, and sometimes it's a little difficult. So that's the only thing about new treatments, is that we want to make sure it's accessible by everybody. But it's actually a credible research-based treatment that can be helpful.
So were you worried about it being something that might be harmful to you, or you just wanted somebody else's opinion about it?
I really just wanted another opinion about it, and if it would truly make a difference. I mean, I've been taking medication for so many years, and I would love to be able to not take medication anymore. And but if I try to do it, things get really, really awful. And right now, what I'm taking seems to be really working well for me. But I just was, thinking, well, possibly I haven't checked with my insurance yet to see if they would cover it. But
well,
I
Mary,
was just wondering if, yes.
The other thing too about it is that it's an augmentation, so it's not often used just by itself, but in concert with medication. So it's not necessarily a one-off type of thing. Depression is kind of an ongoing process, and we have to make sure that you don't get the symptoms to come back. But medications are actually getting better, so there's no side effects. We're actually seeing it as a very good long-term prevented kind of medical intervention, just like high blood pressure medicines or cholesterol medicines can be.
I want to suggest that you give yourself a different goal. And rather than have a goal, I want to be off of medication, how about a goal of, dear Lord, help me find the best solution, help me adjust when that solution maybe it doesn't have the same effect because of aging or whatever. Help me have the best solution for the most amount of time possible, and be willing to accept whatever it takes for me to be and have a brain function the best way it can function. I think that's a better goal than I would love to be off of medication, because it just, I'm telling you, just like you're hearing here, that it really can be used by God to absolutely change, transform your life so you can do all the things God wants to do with you and in you and through you and for you.
Yes. I guess I just hear so often from people about, they're just dishing out pills to everybody now, and it's
well, it doesn't matter. Crutch. Listen, when you hear that, then you ask the question, what about the person I'm seeing? Is he just dishing out pills to everybody, or does he have a really good reason for me to take these pills? Do they make me better, or do they make me worse? Even if he was just dishing out pills, and he just dished out pills to you, and it made you better, then that's different than just somebody being dished out a pill that isn't good, or it doesn't help or change things. So don't judge your experience by anything that anybody else is having or doing. Just do the best you can with what you have.
Well, and I wanted to give Mary some kudos that when you have depression and you struggle for years, it's a big life changer. It just forms your whole family and your whole outlook, even in your spiritual life. Yeah. And if you feel like you find an effective treatment for it, kind of look at it like if the doctor gave you something for your thyroid or gave you something for your stomach, you would take it, and people wouldn't tell you, don't take your thyroid medicine or don't take your liver medicine or whatever. It's kind of the same thing we do for our brains. It doesn't reflect on our spiritual walk. It's not our character that we go and do what the doctor tells us to do. It's kind of taking care of our body and being stewards of it.
Well, yeah, and when Jesus was confronted with, or a blind man was before him, and he wanted to heal him, he said, okay, here's what I'd like you to do. I'm going to make some mud here, and I'm going to put this mud, that from my spit and sand and stuff, I'm put this mud on your eyelids. And if the guy said, hey, you know what? That mud thing, I've been hearing about it, a lot of people doing it, that they're slinging mud right and left. I don't want mud. Well, that didn't happen because sometimes, for whatever reason, I believe Jesus uses some external things not within us for healing. Chris, you had a thought there?
My only thought is just to also, in the midst of all of the treatments out there, all of the information, is to simplify this. Depression is about lack of usable energy in the brain. It's an energy game at the end of the day, if I'm right. And so we have to look at what is stealing our energy. Is there anxieties? Is there stressors? Is there's all these other things that are taking away from our life? And on the other side of that, on the treatment, what provides healthy energy to the brain? And if medication does that, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Ooh, you kind of threw me there when you said no-brainer.
Yeah.
You want a brainer.
Yes, you want a brain. It's a no-brainer that helps your brain. So,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we do whatever we need to do, and the best medication for somebody else can be the worst for you, but somebody that's prescribed something that they don't need could be exactly what you do need. It all boils down to you, the relationship with the other person, the credibility of that professional. Let's go over here to Grandma. She's calling from Columbia, South Carolina, and she listens on Sirius XM. This is the first time anyone's ever identified themselves right up off the bat as Grandma. So hi, how are you?
Hi. I said Grandma because Grandma's my favorite name. My little grandkids and great-grandkids say Grandma. Makes my day.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I love that. I hope to be one, not a grandma, but a grandpa one day. So, how can we help?
I hope you do too. Well, first of all, my husband and I are both 77 years old. My husband is in very poor health, and we have a special needs son who is 30 years old, and we have to take care of him. It's the same as if he were a 1-year-old.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Keeps us pretty busy.
Yeah.
The thing is that there are a couple of neighbors that live near us. They're not like next door, but they're within walking distance. And one day, one of them walked up in my yard and asked me for a favor. She needed to get to the store to pick up some groceries, and they don't have a car. So I took her. I took her to the store and waited with her, and I took her home. Ever since that day, you would not believe this situation. It's incredible. These are two people, husband and wife, they look to be maybe in their 50s. And they are both apparently disabled because neither one of them works, but they get a check every month, each one of them. They have called us every single day since that day, and that has been several months ago. And we ran back and forth and tried to help them for a long time, and then finally we told them, y'all want too much. We can't do this anymore. Now, to just give you an example, we have explained to them that my husband's health is really bad.
Yeah.
They called yesterday, and this is what the man said when he called. Will you please come over here and bring me and my wife a cigarette? We have not had a cigarette in 2 days, and we're about to die. Would you please come and bring us some cigarettes? So my husband said back to him, I have asked you, please not to call me anymore.
Yeah.
This is an everyday thing. And I told you yesterday, and I told you the day before that. We cannot do this anymore.
And what did the
us.
man say? What did he say to that?
He said, well, please, all I want is a cigarette. Can't you please just bring me a cigarette?
Yeah.
You just don't know how it is. And so finally my husband got 2 packs of cigarettes out of his truck. He took my car, and he went over there, and he took them each a pack of cigarettes.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
And this is what he said. This is what he said to them: if you call my house again, I'm going to call the law and tell them you're harassing me. Now, what I want to know is, how does God expect me to handle this as a Christian? I don't want to act unchristlike. I want to show God's love, and I want to be kind.
Well,
how can I handle
when
this?
we come back, we're going to help.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. June 28th to the 30th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. If you want to join us, it's 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. That's the number here. We've been talking with Grandma. And there's some people that want her and her husband to bring them cigarettes, and they've said no, going to call the police. If you call us again, you're harassing us. She wants to know what God would expect in that situation. Well, I'm going to start this, Grandma, by saying I cannot find one scripture anywhere that says it would be a good idea and God would really bless you for enabling evil in the life of or the home of another person, nor your own especially. And a lot of people do that all the time. And so I'm going to say what God would expect is for you guys to do what you've done. You've tried to help them in the short run. Now, rather than being helpful, you would be enabling that problem by providing any more cigarettes. And you really do have the right to have your own life, privacy, not have to pick up the phone with these requests that you're not going to fulfill. So in my thinking, you haven't done anything that is against what God would want you to do. And in fact, it's a bold move finally where you're saying we're not going to enable the evil here. Chris, you have a take on this?
Yeah, these are people that have embodied learned helplessness They have used victimhood as their winning formula. And these are very dangerous people. They're very manipulative people. And they play their helpless, hopeless card in it's their inability to take responsibility for themselves or their lives. I like to return to these people this information and this important message. I believe so much in you for you to be able to find resources outside of depending upon me that I'm not going to allow you to depend on me anymore, and I'm not going to enable your helplessness anymore. That's how much I believe in you. If you don't believe in you, that's up to you. But I can no longer participate in this damaging behavior that keeps you stuck. I can't do that anymore.
Okay. Dr. Okamoto, what are your thoughts here?
It sounds like Grandma and her husband are very nice people, and they're good Christian folk, and they want to do God's work. And now this is kind of a new stage of that, is to learn that, you have only so many resources, and you can't please certain people. And like Chris is saying, there's certain patterns out there, people who are not necessarily as loving or godly as Grandma and her husband, and they kind of take advantage. And now Grandma has to learn that boundaries are okay and godly, and she's kind of into a new level of graduate work with being helpful.
Yeah. And, you've done all you can, and there is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of when you finally say we've reached our limit here, we can't do this anymore, especially when you're delivering cigarettes to them. That just simply is not acceptable. So I hope and pray we've given you some good insight, given you some courage to stand up for you, your husband. You're not doing anything that's dishonorable to God by not delivering cigarettes to somebody. It's a tough thing. I had the addiction, and it was one of the toughest. So I understand. But what a great thing to be free of it. And maybe they will get free one of these days. Our phone number here, 1-800-229-3000. I mentioned it before. We have a workshop this weekend. Every month we do Every Man's Battle. But in Washington, D.C., this weekend, starting on Friday, it's the Marriage Intimacy Intensive. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and let us tell you all about it. If you need it, it could change everything for you. All right, let's go to, how about Owen, Boston, Massachusetts. He's called us here at 1-800-229-3000. Hi, Owen. How are you today?
I'm wonderful listening to you. I have an answer for Grandma and Grandpa.
What's that answer?
They got to give it. They got to give it to the Lord, and we all should pray for them, especially with their special needs child.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a person who suffered with bipolar. I'm almost 70 years old now, and thank God the Lord put Jane Rathfield Jameson in my life. I was in McLean's Hospital in Boston, who specialized in the old days it was called manic depression, and now it's different types of bipolar and schizophrenic and whatever.
Yeah, okay.
I heard you talking earlier about the Lord's put it in my life to try to get rid of these opiates on the street.
How could we do that?
By doing that, pardon?
How could we do that?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. I mean, I've been trying to get in touch with spiritual people in the Protestant faith and the Jewish faith and the Catholic faith, saying that we got to get, obviously the Lord's got to be in control of it.
Yeah.
We can't, he can, but by getting, like you said earlier, the more people, Christian doctors that you get involved, Christian ministers that get involved. I go by a street on Mass Ave in Boston every day at 5:30 and try to help the homeless and whatever, and without exaggeration, there's 400 people there every day shooting up dope out of their minds, like they have no clue where they are, what they're doing, and your heart goes out to them. There's only so much we can do, but I know prayer is the answer to everything, but when you first started talking about it.
Okay, well, hold on, and we'll get back to you right after this.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
Glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Owen was concerned about the opiate crisis here in America, and it is a big one. I've been at a couple of White House briefings, privileged to do that, where there's a tremendous amount of grant money available for especially faith-based organizations like ours to treat the opioid addiction. And it is such a varied kind of problem because on the one hand, you have folks that are using heroin, fentanyl, things that they buy on the street. And on the other hand, you have those who have chronic pain problems. They go to a physician. The physician's been told, hey, there's a new medication and it doesn't have any addictive properties, which is what happened when fentanyl came out. And then all of a sudden you have an addiction and it changes you, radically changes you. I actually know one of the most wonderful Christians in ministry had chronic pain and got addicted to this stuff. Took her a while to get off of it, about a year, literally. So I feel for folks. I do think we need to pray. I think we need to develop some treatment programs, and especially from a Christian perspective, where, you know, if you're going to be in recovery, always important that your higher power is Jesus and not something else. Dr. Okamoto, any thoughts you have on the opioid?
I just appreciate Owen's history and his call, kind of, even though it was just a few seconds, it's like you can tell that he's been through the whole system and he can see what they're dealing with and he feels for him. He's in pain about him and he's in prayer, and bless him. And I think we can take a lesson from him that, what do we do? What are we called to do? And the churches have the ability to do recovery programs. They can maybe look into those grants of what to do about treatment and so forth. It's not cheap, and you need good professionals who know what they're doing and aren't privy to getting sucked into all the money that's involved and so forth. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and a lot of people are in pain from physical pain, but also emotional pain that are treating themselves with opiates. It's a huge national problem now that I think the government is happy to have good people step up and try to help out folks.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's an
Chris?
opportunity not to fall into the trap of the either medical sciences and advancements or faith. What we've seen is that when those both come together in a marriage, it works so phenomenally well. And so Christians out there who are in the addiction field, let's keep advancing further and further in our secular studies of what is the best research out there, and growing in our faith and what God can do in and through us.
And this is an interesting time in medicine where psychiatry is looking at spirituality on a research base, and we're getting a lot of positive research results on how important the church or spirituality in general is. So there's a really open door for the church to step in and say, here we are, let's help out with this and let's partner up. And so,
it's good news. Good news. The other good news is that some people gave us a really great, a wonderful amount of support that they wanted to motivate others with to match, and Larry Sonnenberg is here to talk to us about that. Larry, what are you thinking today?
Steve, as a guy that works a lot in my job with money and raising it and how it's spent and such, I've been spending some time in Scripture looking at money because it's such a big deal in Scripture. It's not a little deal. But there's one verse that just kind of caught my eye, and it so jives with what's going on here in New Life. 2 Corinthians 9, verse 10 says, "Now he who supplies seed to the sower will also supply and increase your store of seed." And here's the part, "and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness."
Wow.
Couple of testimonies real quick. I'm a hospice chaplain. I've been listening to your program for 2 years. I've gained so much wisdom for all of you, and I use it in my hospice work. And then a Club New Life member writes, "I'm mentoring a young woman through a heartbreaking divorce. We read the books you recommend, and I couldn't do this without you." What we do here at New Life is reaching, touching, helping people change their lives. And in turn, they give back to others, and they're helping. They're enlarging, the Scripture said, enlarging the harvest of your righteousness.
That's right.
And if that can excite you, if you can get behind that, if you can support that, please help us with this match. We need support regularly, but knowing that somebody gave us a match, $324,000, that was a step of faith for us to really receive that and put it out there, because that's a big match to get completed by July 31. But we really trust and believe that you, as listeners, as believers in what God is doing through New Life, that you would come aboard and help us with that. So anything you give will be doubled. 5 becomes 10, 100 becomes 200. Whatever amount you give, it will be doubled. And we would appreciate you stepping up and doing that today.
Yep. And, you've heard people say, hey, whoever gave this scholarship to me, you absolutely saved my life. It's not just about, anything other than we want to help reach people and get them the kind of help that they need to transform their lives. If you want to be part of that, it's 1-800-NEWLIFE, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Call us right now. Help us. It will be matched. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Larry. Let's go. Yes?
Just to say, or they could go online to give. And
all right.
Both options. Thank you.
Okay. And 1-800-NEWLIFE. Let's go over here to Leanne. And Leanne just happens to be calling us from Nashville, Tennessee. Sirius XM is where she listens. Hey there. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Certainly. How's it going in Nashville today?
It's a lovely time in Nashville always. I really appreciate you taking my call. You have such a strong panel there, and when I heard he was on your show today, I thought this is a good time for me to ask a question.
All right.
I'm married to a medical doctor who is extremely brilliant, obviously, and it doesn't take people very long to be around him, especially family, to realize that he suffers from quite a bit of ADD and OCD. And I'm not a medical professional, but I've had counselors and others who have pointed out to me that they think that could be a problem. We do get in some arguments about a lot of things, whether it's, losing mail, not cashing checks, just throwing things in closets that he just doesn't want to deal with. And I'm noticing that professionally as well as personally, I can see him headed toward some sort of self-destruction in a lot of ways. But because he's a medical doctor, he will say, no one needs to diagnose me. I'm the expert, and I wouldn't want to take any medication anyway, even if I had something like this.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's the question for us then?
Predicament.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you get a medical doctor to take medication for something that is affecting his mental state? And he is a Christian.
All right. So, Dr. Okamoto, it sounds like this is a physician with a very large ego. This is a rare thing. I've read about this in books, but how do you break through this wall of defense? Because a physician who needs medication and is in denial and all, boy, that's a tough wall to
and Leanne, this is a tough one because his story is so common in the area of physicians, even Christian ones. I mean, we were just at a national meeting at the Christian Medical and Dental Association down in North Carolina, and half the talks were on burnout, and physician suicide is huge. So professionals across the country are dealing with this, and the physicians in particular are dealing with very serious, say, psychiatric, mental stress disorders. Yeah. And they're kind of trained to take on everything on their own, and they're just getting heaped with the new corporate medicine, and they're stressed and they're burned out with new record keeping and so forth. So he is not alone in this, and there are a lot of remedies that we're trying to give these guys. And so I don't know if we can keep going with this, but there's a lot of resources for physicians heading this direction. So,
well, when we come back, I'd like us to just give you some ideas as a wife of what you might say to him, because that's what you're looking for. What do I say that might have some impact, or what do I do in a situation like this? So we're going to try to provide that for you. You're listening to New Life Live. Our phone number, 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. We'd sure love to talk with you. Tough subject we're dealing with right here. We'll be back right after this.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 19th to the 21st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Last year, after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw, not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all. When you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. And a tough situation here where Leanne's married to a, as she said, brilliant medical doctor. He's got ADD, OCD. Of course, we've talked about the people with OCD. They put it in alphabetical order, CDO, because they just can't handle it out of alphabetical order. It's a tough thing. What can Leanne say to him that might cause him to take a second look and maybe get somebody to help him?
Yeah, well,
what do you think?
I'm going to jump in here because, Leanne, I think what we try to do with people that we love is try to get them to own the problem that they refuse to own. And so what I want you to be able to do is I want you to own the problem. And here's what this looks like. In saying, my dear husband, here is what this behavior and these actions are doing to me. Here's how it's impacting me. Here's my fears and here's my concerns. And so when you put the impact on you and the concern on you, I believe that actually gives it more power. And then you say, and then now let's go see if we can get the help here. Because this is not just about you, my beloved husband. This is about us. This is about our family. This is about our well-being.
Another thing is to use contrast. You say, honey, 5 years ago, when things were kind of humming along in your practice and all, here's what we used to do, here's how you were, here's how it made me feel. Something's happened in that time, and now here's what I see, here's some things that you do that trouble me, and here's how it makes me feel. And I'm just wondering if you care about that for the changes in you and then the impact it's having on me. It's almost like a little intervention there where you're listing specific behaviors that you used to see, but you don't see them anymore. Dr. Okamoto, any thoughts on this from you?
Yeah, this is such a huge thing for physicians these days because we're all worried about the rising burnout rates and suicide rates. It's very serious, and doctors are not trained to be weak and vulnerable and to be needing help. So we're trying to change the culture in hospitals and in organizations to have a very clear path to getting help and to being okay, and for each other, for all of our physician peers, to be watching each other and supporting each other, and to take that relational process that Chris and Steve are talking about and to bring it into the workplace and say to our colleagues that we see are in trouble, hey, you know, I'm really worried about you, can we talk? And then to be very concerned and enter into relationships on a vulnerable level and to encourage and support and to kind of support the treatment and the weakness as part of kind of normal life. And you've got responsibilities, you've got kids, you've got a career, and you've got a spiritual walk that you need to take care of. And I'm hoping that this is not a problem, but if it is, I would love to be helpful for you and join you in your journey. So any peers, any people he listens to, you enlist any pastors, any men's groups, you try to find safe people that can do that with him.
Well, the way you describe the training, what a scenario for disaster, because if a physician is being trained and they're not being taught how to deal with burnout or with their own problems, essentially the message is you shouldn't have any problems, that a really good physician is never going to be anything but brilliant and strong, and what a horrible trap that is for somebody.
Well, and then if you do have burnout, there's kind of a secondary issue that, okay, now you have to become resilient. It's your responsibility to be stronger and not have burnout. And then you sort of dive deeper into this quandary. So even though physicians seem to have glamorous lives, it's almost a trap. It's kind of rough.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope this is helpful to you, because if it's helpful to you, then it's going to be helpful to him in just trying to approach him. There is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, honey, I'm so concerned. I talked to another psychiatrist about this, about how to help you, or I talked to some people on a radio program anonymously, but I think he needs to know this is this troubling, and then he has the choice of how he's going to respond to that. And I think really telling him, I am so hoping that you care about how this impacts me, that your response will be one of caring about me and for me, and just maybe that will help produce something in him that wants to take care of the problem and help you in the relationship. All right, I'm going to send you a copy of Understanding and Loving Someone with Narcissism, because that's really a big part of his problem. He can't see it or won't look at it, and of course there's always a wound there. But this one of the 8 books in the Understanding and Loving series, I'll send that to you. Hope that will be helpful to you.
Yeah, and Steve, we have a lot of listeners who we've heard over the years are in the helping profession. They listen to us to gain knowledge or insight, and one of the things that I really want to scream from the mountaintop, but first to myself, is that in helping others, in having responsibility or public ministry, is that we tend to leave our humanity behind. And that causes unbelievable amounts of suffering. And that's what I love about being a part of this show, what I love being a part of this team, is because we're constantly checking in with each other of like how we're doing. Not how is our ministry or how is our impact doing, but how is we as human beings, people, beloved children of God, are doing. And really that is going to be the foundation for us to be able to do impactful ministry over the long haul.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I am so strong on my own, and I have not had any counseling since yesterday when I went to see a very wise person. So what I'm trying to say is I believe in what we recommend that you do. And I go see my own counselor. My wife and I, we go to marriage counseling because we really love the impact that has on us. And so I hope and pray that, at my age, I feel like I'm just getting started some days. And I think a lot of that's because I get the support. I've got the help. I don't think that I need to be above it at all. So maybe for you, if you've thought, ooh, that's really a weird thing to get counseling. No, it's not. It's a sign of strength when you are saying, I need to do what a lot of very, very smart people do all the time. Get a little consultation on my life. I think that's what God would have us to do. So if you want some help with that, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now, I got to tell you something else, and I hate for our workshops to be the solution to everything. They're not. But in this case, if she could get him to the weekend there in D.C., this weekend, our marriage intimacy intensive, see, we would be dealing with this kind of issue right there. We would give her the kind of help that she's looking for. We'd be talking about this in the group. I wish that could be a possibilities. And any of you, if you're struggling, you're really stuck on an issue and you just don't know what to do, and it's impacting every area of intimacy, call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. There's scholarship money available. It's not too late. It's this Friday through Sunday. Thank you, Dr. Okamoto, for being here. If you want to join us on the next program, 1-800-229-3000. See you next time. Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you. But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.